The story of Saartjie Baartman demonstrates the brutality and inhumanity of the human zoo. In the later 19th to mid-20th century, humans were publicly exhibited in the human zoo throughout Europe and North America. The exhibits were from colonial territories across the world. Human zoos were by their very existence scandalous and notorious exhibitions that reveal cruelty and tragedy of the phenomenon. The most notable of this cruel and inhumane exhibition was the story of Saartjie Baartman, also known as Hottentot Venus, who was exhibited in London and Paris from 1810 to 1815. Saartjie Baartman was born in the year 1789 at Gantus River in what is known today as Eastern Cape. She belonged to the cattle herding Konakwa subgroup of the Khoi in South Africa. They lived a simplistic and nomadic life and relied on nature for sustenance. They kept herds of animals such as goats, cattle, sheep, and had to move around according to the season to find enough grazing for their animals. She grew up in a colonial farm where her family worked as servants. Her mother died when she was just 2 years old, and her father, who was a cattle rearer as at the time, died when she reached adolescence. Sarah married a Khoi man who was a drummer, and they had one child together who died shortly after birth. However, due to the colonial expansion, the Dutch came into conflict with the Khoi people, which led to the massacre and enslavement of 8 people. At the age of 16, Sarah's fiancé was murdered by the Dutch colonist. After the death of her fiancé, she was sold into slavery to a trader named Peter William Caesar, who took her to Cape Town, where she became a domestic servant to his brother. It was during this time that she was given the name Saartjie, a Dutch diminutive for Sarah, in October 1810. Although illiterate, Sarah allegedly signed a contract with English ship surgeon William Dunlop and mixed-race entrepreneur Hendrik Caesar. Their mission was to exploit and display her body for monetary gain, which they did at the Piccadilly Circus, where she was nicknamed the Hottentot Venus. She was called this because she was seen by the Westerners as alluring and primitive, a reflection of their fears and suppressed desires. Being a typical Khoisan woman with unique physical features, she has a honey brown skin, kinky hair, large hips, enlarged labial lips, and protruding buttocks. Saartjie Baartman is the proud embodiment of the Khoisan women of South Africa. At London, mere words cannot encapsulate the emotions, the fears, the tears and hardship that she went through in the hands of the Europeans while being displayed for their viewing pleasure. She always kept a small tortoise shell necklace until her death. After 4 years in London, in September 1814, she was transported from England to France, and upon arrival, she was sold to Rox, a man who showcased animals. He exhibits her around Paris, often at the Palais Royal. He also allowed her to be sexually abused by patrons willing to pay for her defilement. He reaped financial benefits from the public fascination with her body. He began exhibiting her in a cage alongside a baby rhinoceros. Her existence was miserable and she was treated like an animal. Sarah Baartman died in 1816 as a result of pneumonia, syphilis and smallpox. Georges Cuvier, a naturalist who had danced with Sarah at one of Rox's parties, obtained her remains from the local police and dissected her body. He pickled her brain and genitals and placed them into jars, which were displayed at the Museum of Man until 1974. After President Nelson Mandela took over power in 1994, ending the brutal apartheid regime, South Africa undertook the process of repatriating Baartman's remains back home. And on the 9th of August 2002, Saartjie Baartman was buried at the Hanke in Eastern Cape Province. Saartjie stands as the epitome of colonial exploitation, ridicule, and commodification of the black woman.